Welcome to another episode of OG55. Today, we are talking about my home park, Tokyo Disney. I'm just kidding. No, we are talking about Tokyo Disney, but it's not my home park yet. Anyway, we are talking about Tokyo Disney and the massive changes coming to Disneyland over there in Japan. Crazy, wild, massive changes. We're going to talk about it, what the ramifications mean. We're going to analyze it. Up next, I got George, the Disney Italiano, with me today. Up next on OG. Ready? Oh. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. Today, we are talking all about Japan, Tokyo Disneyland. There is a lot of changes that were announced the other day. We're going to talk about it, break down. Now, George, welcome back, sir. You're fresh off of a Citrico Central Live.
I am. Yes, I'm still filled with some pumped up energy, and I can't wait to have this discussion with you. A lot to dive into because this is very telling, the direction of how OLC wants to go with their parks and everything. And it's going to be a great conversation. But before we get into it, okay, I have to clear the air here. I'm noticing you're wearing a Universal shirt.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You shilling for Brian Roberts there, bro?
I'm that Brian Roberts yes man now. You know, Brian Roberts yes man. Yeah, no, I'm on that Universal hype train right now. I think they're doing a lot of great stuff. I'm excited, but I'm always a Disney bias, though. You know.
Yeah, of course. What year did Universal Studios Hollywood open?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was sometime in the 60s.
60s. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, just to say, if it is 1960 or whatever, I mean, yeah, you could go as Universal guy 60.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you never know. There might be a rebrand. Now, George, congratulations on 200 subscribers on Citrico Central. Where can everybody find you on social media and all that jazz?
Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate it. And yeah, it was. Thank you for your idea for going live on Citrico Central. It was a great show. Really quick, if ever you guys get a notification that I'm going live at Citrico Central, please jump in, join in on the conversation. I will also be doing live in parks as well very soon once I get everything together, and I got a lot of content coming out there for you. But anyway, you can find me on social media on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You can also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all the sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also, as OG had mentioned, check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There we go. Let's go all the way across the Pacific to Japan. This is courtesy of the DisneyTouristBlog.com and our friend Tom Bricker. So it says here, The Incredibles and Moana Adventureland expansion revealed for Tokyo Disneyland, replacing the Jungle Cruise and more. Now, not even diving into the meat and potatoes of this article, could you imagine if they did this at the stateside parks? I mean, Disneyland, I know Disneylanders would have an absolute fit. In Florida, it would be crazy because they're already getting rid of the Rivers of America to go in there now and to completely reimagine Adventureland now. On top of that would be wild to me. But let's dive into the meat and potatoes, George. 5 years after the major project that added Beauty and the Beast Miniland and ride, plus Fantasyland, Toontown, and Tomorrowland expansions, the Oriental Land Company, OLC, has unveiled brand new concept art for the future expansions in both parks. This breaks down the redevelopment of Adventureland with Up, Incredibles, and Moana replacements for Jungle Cruise and more. Okay, so let's talk about this, and then we'll kind of dive further into the article. Mm-hmm. This is interesting. Now, Tokyo Disney and our good friend Lucas Kim, friend of the channel, texted me this yesterday, and I completely agree with him. I mean, it's a fact, right? He was telling me it's a fact. Tokyo Disney Resort doesn't have a whole lot of room to play with in terms of expansions, right? Mm-hmm. And this was the big thing. I was making the point with that whole situation with Disneyland Forward over here in Anaheim. And I kept telling people on video after video after video how important it was to get Disneyland Forward approved. Because when you don't have anywhere to physically go, when there's no open space, what do? Well, you're forced to demolish and build on top. So you have the dilemma now of like, okay, well, we need to bring new stuff in because it's a theme park, and you have to attract people in with new offerings, new attractions. But if you don't have any new land, what do? You have to bulldoze current stuff and build over that. Well, we're kind of seeing a little bit of that here, right? With the removal of the Jungle Cruise and what have you. OLC is kind of forced in a lot of ways to sort of figure out how to, bring more people into this park. But what say you, George, before we kind of dive further into this?
That is a great observation from Lucas Kim, because it definitely ties into what I was going to mention. Is because of that notion, it's like, okay, what can OLC afford to get rid of? And they probably look at their roster of what can they get rid of that maybe not fit too much of the demographic that's out in the Japanese culture. For us as diehard Disney fans at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, you touch Jungle Cruise, it's sacrilege. It's like how dare you? How could Disney do that? But for OLC and the Japanese culture, it may not be that popular with the Jungle Cruise, the Tiki Room, the Treehouse. It just may not be. I'm for sure people go on it, they enjoy it, but when they compare it to maybe like their new Toontown and Beauty and the Beast and the Fantasy Springs that just opened up at Tokyo DisneySea next door, they're probably thinking, because we don't have a whole lot of room to play with, it's like, well, we have a whole land dedicated to non-IP, and honestly, from my understanding, for Tokyo Disney, they go heavy on the IP.
They do,
especially like with the creatures and the critters and what have you, which then also begs to the statement of why they kept Splash Mountain. It's not because whether or not that Splash Mountain was, a derogatory, thing here in the States, or if people consider, it going, woke or what have you. It's just because Splash Mountain fits the demographic for the Japanese culture.
It's a different culture. And any of our Japanese friends that are watching this that are very familiar with Japanese culture and what have you, please chime in the comments. But I mean, I think George, you make a great observation there, where it's a different culture, and it's a different kind of, they have different taste, different kind of perspectives. And so for what works for us out here in California might not necessarily work in Japan. And that goes for, Splash Mountain, and that goes for, a lot of the stuff in Adventureland. So now here's the thing. I have to say, I got to commend OLC. They got some cojones over there at OLC, because some of these, look, Up in The Incredibles and Moana. Now, Up in Moana, I totally get it, right? Because Moana is very much an Adventureland franchise, like 1,000%, right? Mm-hmm. And even Up, with the what's that called? The falls, Paradise Falls, and you got the cute little, the Carl and Ellie adventure book. It works perfectly into an Adventureland, okay? But The Incredibles is interesting, because The Incredibles, when you think of Incredibles, yes, it's an adventurous franchise, but it's more modern. It's not so.
It's more metropolitan.
Yes, that's great. Exactly. It's more metropolitan, more urban. It's in the city. There's like technology and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. You don't really think of that with Adventureland. I gotta say, that's
the only way that I can see it working, because I agree with you. When they said The Incredibles, and I'm thinking Adventureland, like, how is that going to work, like, aesthetically? The only way that I can see that working is if they kind of go off of the first film, like the mysterious island, like Syndrome's Lair kind of thing. Like, that would be the only way that I could see how they maybe can incorporate a storyline there. But OLC is very creative, like with the partnering with WDI. So I don't think OLC would consider doing The Incredibles if it was going to be very tacky or kind of thing, because we all know they don't shortchange on their projects.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they drop banger after banger after banger. It says here, this reveal comes via OLC's 2035 long-term management strategy. And I'll be linking all this down below so you guys can check this out at home. But it says here, released to investors on April 28th. Along with this, OLC reported record results for the most recent fiscal year, likely fueling the desire for further expansion beyond that Wreck-It Ralph and New Space Mountain attractions currently under construction in Tomorrowland at Tokyo Disney. Now, it says here, this 10-year plan for Tokyo Disney Resort reveals that the goal is to, quote, provide moving experiences and surprises that cannot be found anywhere else in the world through development unique to Tokyo Disney Resort, end quote. That's interesting. So what they're doing, and this is what we've been talking about, right? When fans complain, they're getting rid of my Rivers of America at Magic Kingdom. What have we been saying? When you remove the river and you put a unique exclusive Cars experience and Villains Land that you can't find anywhere else, you make Magic Kingdom a lot more desirable for people to go. It's a unique experience. It's no longer Disneyland Light. It's no longer live action Disneyland. It now has its own thing. OLC, who we all can agree as fans, they know how to run theme parks, right? I mean, it's the gold standard, essentially. They're saying the same thing. Provide moving experiences and surprises that cannot be found anywhere else in the world through development unique to Tokyo Disney Resort. They're doing that same thing. They're taking the Adventureland theme and they're altering it so it's a unique experience. You're not going to find that Adventureland in Anaheim. You're not going to find that Adventureland in Orlando. So that's fantastic.
And it gives another reason, like for us, as you know, for the domestic parks, to want to go over to Tokyo and experience it.
Exactly, George. Exactly. It says here, OLC further states that the goal is to, quote, constantly enhance the appeal of our theme parks by redesigning attractions. Oh, woo, the fandom. They do not like that.
Which I have to say, I have to respectfully disagree with them when they say, oh, Disney and WDI is like filling OLC's ear and they're convincing them and they're telling them to do this. Trust me, if OLC was listening to WDI, they would have gotten rid of their Splash Mountain years ago when it was changing over to Tiana's.
Exactly. And there's a lot of narratives on like YouTube and like, on social media that the reason why OLC didn't want to convert their Splash Mountain was because Tiana's Bayou Adventure is a bad ride. You know what? Honestly, that couldn't be, in my opinion, I think that's not the case at all. I think it was basically what you were saying at the top of the show, George, where it's a different culture. It's a different culture. And that Splash Mountain with the little cute little bunny rabbit and all that stuff, I think that appeals more to their culture, and that's fine. But it's not because they didn't like Tiana's. And you're right. Obviously, Disney doesn't have like a huge amount of sway with them, or at least a big enough amount of sway to convince them to change Splash Mountain. So I don't think this Adventureland thing has anything to do with Disney putting the pressure on them at all. I think OLC does what OLC wants to do.
Because with them wiping out the whole entire Adventureland, if they were in that mode to say, okay, let's clean house, wouldn't have Splash Mountain be part of that?
You would think. You would absolutely think. But, that's the thing. There's a lot of narratives out there on social media, YouTube and what have you, right? There's a lot of agenda. So, and no one's in the room. Like, we're not in the room either. We're speculating as well, right? To be fair, but no one's in the room with these negotiations or these phone calls. So anyone can say whatever they want, and it's like, who's going to correct? Because we're never going to know. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. But the likely situation is that that Splash Mountain for Tokyo and Japanese culture is a more viable brand than Tiana's, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? It's a different culture, so it is what it is. But, Disney isn't, I don't think Disney has a massive amount of influence over here with OLC. I think they kind of do what they want to do. But it says here, oh, I'm going ahead of myself. It says here, so OLC further states the goal is to constantly enhance the appeal of our theme parks by redesigning attractions and entertainment programs, offering limited time special versions, and utilizing previously unused IP and new technologies. So again, this is kind of like, you know, I think kind of speaks to what we also said earlier on in the show, where like when you're running out of space, you have to come up with other ways to attract guests. So what do? You have to redesign existing stuff. You have to offer limited time special versions of things, and things like to keep things fresh. There's a reason why here at Disneyland, and in honestly even Universal, in Hollywood, where it's like, you know, we get a lot more like special stuff. Like we get like the holiday versions of Haunted Mansion, things like that. A lot of that is because we have more of a locals fan base, for better or worse. We just do. And we have to constantly keep it fresh, where Florida doesn't have to do that. They have a lot of tourism. People don't go every year, or, you know what I'm saying, or every month. So Tokyo Disney is kind of the same thing, you know, but they're even tighter on space. So it's even more of an issue for them. They really have to lean into this.
And also too, WDI are very is very creative. Like if you give them the basically the sandbox, so to speak, with all their tools of technology, they can produce immaculate things as long as, you know, they are not restricted on the price tag, so to speak. And OLC can give them that space. So when we think of like Up and The Incredibles, and now even Moana seems like that's on the roster, these aren't going to be like how DCA has the Incredicoaster, or how Disneyland Paris is getting the spinner swings like Up. Like this is going to be top-notch, high-quality attractions.
Oh, 100%. You can see like an aerial view, the concept art, and you can see this is Paradise Falls right here, which Paradise Falls will be absolutely breathtaking. Probably like in a lot of ways, either like a Radiator Springs Racers with the giant rock work, or even like a Pandora with the rock work and the waterfall. It's Japan. They're going to go all out with this. Okay. That's going to be absolutely breathtaking. Now, what's interesting here is like, you can see Moana right here with the little boats and everything, which is awesome. And then over here, you see what looks like some sort of like transport thing, like probably the Incredibles. So it's fascinating to me though. It's that weaving of like technology into an Adventureland. We've never seen that before.
No.
You know,
and honestly, I like it being different, because as much as I want to go to Tokyo Disneyland and experience everything, I would eventually, like, I would have gone on their Jungle Cruise, you know, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like I've done the Jungle Cruise many times. I do it at Disneyland. I do it at Walt Disney World. I would love to go somewhere that has a completely different experience, a different take on it. And this is what OLC is producing for us.
Right. And you have the fans when Disney clones things, they're like, oh my gosh, they're cloning again. Where's the creativity at the Mouse House? then they try something totally different. Oh, well, you know what? Let's revive. Let's completely reimagine that space for the Rivers of America. Let's reimagine Adventureland. What are you doing? We want it the same. Keep it the same. You know, it's like, come on, you know, change is at the spirit and the heart of Disney parks. It really is. And I know people think that that's just OG being a shill, right? I'm not being a shill. I don't like every change. Okay. I've been saying the video we just did about the Universal Fan Fest, I railed against Disney. I literally said Disney should be embarrassed with some of their nighttime offerings. I mean, their after hours events compared to Universal. Okay.
And they should.
Yeah, and they should. I'm not shilling for Disney when I say that change is at the heart of these parks. You don't have to like every change, but it is at the heart of it. And I'd rather Disney try to do something different and try to do something new than cookie cutter Adventurelands all over the place. You know, I'm glad OLC is taking charge here and kind of doing something different. You know, maybe it'll inspire Disney to kind of move forward with some crazy more outside the box stuff. I think that's in the spirit of Walt Disney. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there shouldn't be like a rigidness when it comes to creativity. You know what I'm saying? Like, who said Adventureland has to be the Adventureland from 1955? Who made that rule? Even Walt didn't make that rule, because if Walt was still alive, he probably would have changed it again. This guy was constantly playing. You know what I'm saying?
And he never wanted anything to be a stagnant museum.
He didn't. He did not. Exactly. So it's wild to me. I think it's exciting. OLC will absolutely hit a home run. I mean, like they always do. They spend moolah, you know, and we have a very creative bunch of Imagineers that can work on this. I'm very curious to see how it turns out. This is a very unique time for the Disney parks right now. We have the Rivers of America going away in Magic Kingdom, being changed into cars and villains. We got an Adventureland being drastically altered over in Tokyo. This is wild
And
stuff.
this came out of nowhere.
Nowhere,
like
exactly.
This, like they weren't even planning. And the fact that an OLC usually doesn't like to show any concept art unless they know for sure that this is the route that they're going. So the fact that they even announced this is very telling that this is pretty much a greenlit project. And the fact that they didn't give too much detail on it, just kind of like a gist of like what it is, tells me I feel like they're setting the stage for deeper announcements at Destination D23, because Disney is going to want to have announcements ready for all those people that bought those tickets. They have to give them something.
Yes, absolutely. Now it says here it says here it says here the government affiliated Japan National Tourism Organization, the JNTO. The JNTO has incredibly aggressive long-term goals for inbound visitors that, frankly, I'm not sure are even remotely sustainable. Now, this is an opinion piece from Tom. Not even remotely sustainable given the current strain in some locales. But that's a bit beyond the scope of this post. The point here is that OLC wants a bigger slice of this international tourism pie, as these guests are far and away the highest spenders. So, George, what that means is that we have to book our trip today. Mr. Theme Park Wizard, are you available to book us a trip to Japan, sir? Comment in the comments down below. No, but
literally, it's like with all this new stuff coming, like the demand for it is definitely gonna bring in maybe a lot of tourism, a lot of even just the Japanese locals in Tokyo, that's going to be flocking to this new revamped land for sure. And there was something on social media that I noticed. I think it was on Facebook or something, but it showed the Tokyo Disney timeline. And there are a lot of milestones that are going on from now to 2033 or 2035, when all this will be completed. And that's why they're kind of suggesting that all this will be finished by 2033, because Tokyo DisneySea is going to be going through some milestones, like with I think like a 40th or a 45th anniversary. The Tokyo Disney Resort is going to hit its 50th, I think, by the time of 2033, when everything is supposedly going to be opening. So it's very telling for sure of what is to come with the resort. But I'm excited for it. I'm excited for change. I'm excited for new experiences. I do have my nostalgia. I do love classic Disney, but at the same time, how many times can you do the same thing over and over again? It's like it's not supposed to be a time. I mean, it's not supposed to be a time capsule where it's like, okay, you look into the future and it's still exactly what it was back in the day.
Yeah, change was part of this Disney parks kind of like experiment that Walt Disney spearheaded in 1955. And the issue is that Disney as a brand has really garnered like almost like a religious following, so to speak. And we've gotten into this before with Disney Adults and the whole thing on various videos, but we won't dive too much into that now. But it's very hard for Disney to break free from that. And I think creatively that isn't good for Disney. I think that we need Disney to be able to do new and creative things. You know what I'm saying? Now do it in a smart way. obviously that takes a little bit of like, I don't even know what the word for it would be, like creative intelligence on Disney's end to sort of do things the right way and all that. But at the end of the day, you want these things to change. This is what these parks were designed to do. So it's exciting, man. I think OLC is going to hit a home run. I love this idea of completely reinventing what it means to be an Adventureland.
Yeah,
and weaving in the Incredibles with all that technology is wild to me. I think that's interesting. So.
That is going to be very interesting. I'm curious to see how the storyline goes, what kind of technology they use. Is it going to be screen based? Is it going to be practical sets, audio animatronics, all these questions, which I'm for sure Disney and OLC will be announcing, I would think, very soon, especially as I mentioned at Destination D23. But also, too, Tokyo DisneySea is also getting a little bit of change at one of their areas. I forget the name of the area, but it's where the Aquatopia is, where it's basically like the aqua boats, which when they showed the new concept art, the Aquatopia was removed.
See?
So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, we've made the case for a long time here in California to get rid of Autopia because it's a relic of the past. They're go-karts. You can make them electric, but
a lot of room.
Oh yeah, it's a huge amount of real estate in a resort where we're like thirsty for space. Disney just had to they blood, sweat, and tears to get that Disneyland Forward thing approved, and then you have Autopia taking up God knows how many acres. It's ridiculous.
I think it's as much as you could probably create a whole nother land in that space alone.
Oh, easy, bro. Yeah, easy. Absolutely. It would be expensive, yes, because you would have to reroute the spaghetti bowl monorail stuff and get rid of the people mover track. But I mean, you're going to have to address that stuff anyway eventually. You can't leave that people mover up forever if you're not going to use it. So yeah, I would just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. But
that's what I would do. Honestly, I would remove Autopia, unkink the monorail track, get rid of the subs, but keep the lagoon. Get rid of the people mover track if they're not going to utilize it, and get rid of the motorboat cruise area. I mean, you free up all that space. I mean,
yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. You could probably fit a frozen area in there, God knows what, So. Yeah. Absolutely. But George, thank you for joining me talking about Japan today, Tokyo Disney Resort. Where can everybody find you on social media, sir?
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me right here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And also check out my new YouTube channel, Citrico Central, sister channel to Orange Grove 55.
There he is. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we discussed today. We would love to hear from you. And until the next time, see you later, alligator.
Thank you for watching OG55. If you aren't already, consider becoming a member today.